Hey guys, it's ItsSMOGONdevo. Finally back. Didn't think I was gonna be back after everything that happened. Yeah, I don't know if you guys heard. I can't imagine you haven't heard by now, but there was a huge controversy that just happened. Niantic had basically forced an update for a new Switch mechanic, and to put it simply, it just ruined the game. It made it a million times worse. It took basically the highest level of skill that this game had for us and made it completely irrelevant and useless. It was hands down a turn for the worse, and I was very upset by the whole situation. I honestly thought of just giving up Go PvP because it just wasn't fun anymore. Basically, what they did to change it is unlike the current system where you can just kind of switch on the fly and use that to like switch into enemy charge moves. What happens now is if you hit the switch timer, or sorry, if you hit the switch button, it'll just pause the entire battle. So because the entire battle's paused, it basically made it impossible to switch into charge moves. And even more than that, if you're the opponent on the receiving end, or rather someone switching on you, there's absolutely no reason for you just to mash that switch button because the battle's going to pause, so then you're going to have a chance to just switch right away and you have all the time in the world to think about it. There's a time limit, of course, but you lose nothing, so if you come in with a bad lead, then you're basically just going to lose the game because there's nothing you can do to climb back. You can't force them to waste energy and switch into a charge move on time. You can't really do anything because they're just going to mash that switch button and gain back any advantage you thought you would be able to get. I don't know if any of you guys were at the Go Stadium stream, but they showed a clip from, I think it was the Dortmund regionals, where the final match was basically decided by a switch, a really great switch. And that level of play just is not going to be possible anymore. Or so we thought, but luckily they actually did revert the changes. Thanks to the support of the entire community, we managed to, I guess, reach out to Niantic. There hasn't been any official word on their part yet, so I'm not 100% sure if this is here to stay. I hope so. A lot of people have been reaching out to them, trying to get them to change it, so we'll have to see what happens there, but thankfully, the old system is back. Yeah, so what I wanted to do in this video is I just kind of wanted to go over that announcement, talk about some of the stuff that's changed, maybe go into the Switch change again, the new one, or I guess the worst one. So we're gonna kind of go over the announcement, see what's going on over there, go over some of the other stuff that changed as well. One of them, the most notable probably, is Wigglytuff, as you can tell by the picture over here. Yeah, I just kind of wanted to use this as an opportunity to recap, maybe learn from what's happened, spark some discussion, and then just really express how happy I am that this mechanic has gone back to the way it has, and just share my overall praise and joy in the actual community itself. Thanks to us, we were able to reach out to Niantic, and it looks like they've heard us. Of course, there's no official word yet, so fingers crossed, I guess, but it's looking good so far. I think we actually were able to reach out to them. So after I go through all the new stuff, I want to talk to you guys about Wigglytuff a bit more. I do have the infographic that I just whipped up, a brand new one with Wigglytuff as a part of it, and another change as well. I want to also kind of go over Wigglytuff itself, talk about how it shaped the meta, and then if I can, I want to show you some of the battles with the old system. I recorded a bunch with like Valerash and a few other people, so I kind of want to show you Wigglytuff, give you a little inside scoop on it, and also kind of show you what the old Switch mechanic was like, or the worst Switch mechanic. We'll just call it the worst Switch mechanic from now on. So I'll show you how the worst Switch mechanic kind of functioned, so you can at least see it. Hopefully you'll never have to see it again. I hope it's definitely gone for good, but yeah, that's pretty much how we're going to break this video down. So go over the announcement, talk about the changes, go over Wigglytuff, and then try and get some battles in. So let's go ahead and jump into the actual announcement now. Alright, let's get this announcement up. Alright, that's better. So let's just kind of go through this slowly. It says, trainers, in our previous community note, we outlined some changes that came to Pokemon Go that affected your Pokemon's performance in raid battles, as well as other additions to the game. In this update, we're excited to announce more changes, focusing on trainer battles. In a continued effort to make trainer battles a fun and competitive experience, switching Pokemon will now briefly pause the battle. This will grant you more time to choose which Pokemon to call out, and it will avoid Pokemon causing damage to each other while they are withdrawn into their Pokeballs. Charge attack gameplay will also be updated with new, fun swiping and tapping mechanics. So basically what this says is that similarly to how they changed raid battles, they wanted to make some additions to PvP. The primary focus was basically around switching. There is something interesting they say about charge attack gameplay will change. It says something about fun swiping and tapping mechanics. No idea what that means, they haven't actually implemented that. I'm kind of curious to know if they will do anything with that going further. It might be kind of cool. Not sure if it'll be kind of like tracing in Wizards Unite or whatever, but it might be kind of interesting to do something other than tap drumming. But we'll see what they do with that. The focus is on the switching mechanic. So basically, I kind of went over this at the start, but the new switching mechanic pauses the battle. So you have more time to actually think of what you want to do. And it sounds really great in practice or in theory, but really this kind of took away the core aspect of what PvP is. A fast-paced kind of battle where you have to make decisions quickly. I guess for newer players, it's harder to actually make use of this, the current, or the older switch mechanic, the better one. It's harder for them to actually make use of it just because it's so quick, I guess. So this might have been like a way for Niantic to try to bridge that gap and make PvP a bit more accessible is the word, I guess, for casual audiences. Again, we don't have any official word on why they decided to change it or make it like this, but that's just kind of what I guess the general consensus or theory has been. It makes sense if that's what they were trying to do, but what actually happened was the complete opposite. Casual players weren't all of a sudden more interested in the game, and the actual core community that really enjoys PvP was just upset, understandably so. Honestly, it just kind of ruined it. I really tried to enjoy it, and I did a bunch of practice battles and just messed around with it. Even getting past the bugs, it just was so much worse, and it just was not an enjoyable experience. I was seriously considering just not playing. It didn't really seem like there was that much skill, and it was just too hard to be competitive. Anyway, I don't want to go too much into the switch mechanic. I'm sure you can find a ton of videos on the actual reasons why the mechanic is so much worse, and you'll hear a ton of other people ranting. The good news is they have reverted it, so we can finally get back to playing properly. I just feel bad for anyone that had like a tournament during the switch over, or like a freestyle remote tournament or anything. It sucks. It's definitely a downgrade to what we have now. Hey, but looking at that bottom part over there, the following Pokemon will be able to learn attacks they couldn't before. And above that, more attacks will also be coming to Pokemon Go. That had me excited right away. I didn't even read the switch part. I just kind of jumped straight to this, and I was so excited for the update. Little did I know what was actually coming, but let's jump into the actual attacks. I think there's a lot of good stuff to cover over there. Specifically for the Jungle Cup, but just broadly even. Hey, so actually, I just noticed something. I didn't intend to cover this, but I was refreshing the page, and it looks like we actually do have some official word from Niantic, so this is pretty exciting. It's on the same post for the community update that I've been sharing with you guys so far, so I'll link this in the video description, obviously, but yeah, it looks like we actually have some word from them. So they basically created an update yesterday, or today, depending on when you're watching, but so they left this update July 11th, so 2 days after the original post. It says that in an effort to improve your competitive experience, the new switching Pokemon mechanic has been removed from trainer battles. We strive to make trainer battles intuitive and strategic. and we do not feel this change has met that bar. They definitely listened to us. While the original implementation had unintended behavior, I guess that's the bugs, we've been impressed at the depth of gameplay created by real-time switching against incoming attacks. So yeah, that's the whole point of switching into charge attacks. We still plan on fixing what we consider polished issues of Pokemon being able to attack and be attacked during switching animations. Okay. Oh, that's kind of weird. I don't exactly know what they mean by that. Maybe they just want you to... I don't even know what they mean by that. I'm kind of nervous about that one sentence, to be honest with you. But anyways, let's just keep going. Moving forward, we also plan on more deliberately supporting the emergent strategy that has come from the old switching behavior. What? So I guess they want to capitalize or kind of invest more on that whole switching thing. Maybe we'll be able to switch into charge moves as they come up instead of shielding. That's like my dream right now for PvP. That would be amazing. Anyways, rather than retaining the new behavior, until we can better support this mechanic, we've decided the best experience would be to return to the previous game rules. We appreciate the community's passion and dedication to trainer battles. Stay tuned for more updates as we work to provide a competitive and fun battle experience. We will continue to keep your feedback in mind for future releases. That's awesome. Okay, so they definitely listen to us, and I'm really happy. I'm a little worried about the way they worded that whole polish issues thing. I don't quite know what they mean by that. I hope it's nothing crazy. Like, I don't really want them to change anything else about the current Switch system, like no pausing, allow us to have moves coming in. I don't know. I guess we'll have to see what they do with that, but the fact that they're willing to listen to us, as clearly stated here, is really, really great, and I'm really happy for this. Okay, let's get back to the video, and we're going to go into the next segment of the video and go over some moves now. This is sort of like an interlude. Yeah, let's just jump back into it. I promise you I'm going to go over this one in extreme depth, but I kind of want to cover all of these first. Alright, yeah, I promise you I will go back to that little top corner there. That's a pretty significant chunk of the video, actually. But we'll skip that for now. Let's just move on to the other new Pokemon that are, or not new Pokemon, but other Pokemon that are getting new moves, because a lot of them are pretty interesting. I'm just going to look at it on my phone as we go through this. But I guess we'll start with Alolan Raichu. Grass Knot. So Alolan Raichu currently can only learn electric and psychic type attacks, which is true. Grass Knot will give it more type coverage and help cover its weaknesses to ground type attacks. I mean, Grass Knot seems really interesting, especially when you're looking at it from the point of view in Jungle Cup, or specifically versus like the Alolan Rocks. I reviewed the matchups, and you can win versus the Alolan Rocks if you have Grass Knot with a bait, but I still feel like the coverage you're gaining with, not the coverage, sorry, but just the current moveset it has with Thunder Punch and Wild Charge is already good enough, and I don't really think you're going to want to give up either Thunder Punch or Wild Charge. But I definitely welcome this change, and it's really cool to see Alolan Raichu get some love and attention. I might be able to make use of this move later on, but we'll see what happens with that. Yeah, so that's cool. Next one is Vileplume. It's going to get Sludge Bomb. You know, I'm honestly not even sure what moves it gets right now. The way it's wording this, it sounds like it doesn't really have any great poison type charge moves. Do I think it's going to be viable? I mean, there's Victory Bell. Everyone knows Victory Bell. I don't know if Vileplume's all of a sudden going to rise up in usage. Nice to have the move though, but we'll see what that actually means, I guess, as we continue with other cups and whatnot. Alright, so Hypno gets Fire Punch, Ice Punch, and Thunder Punch. That's pretty cool. You know, if you have the Legacy variants, you're either looking at Shadow Ball or Psyshock, and then Focus Blast. It's a great coverage move, huge nuke, but it costs a lot of energy if I'm being honest. So having these quicker charge moves might make Hypno a lot more viable. Not that it's not already, but it's going to be really cool to see it have these coverage moves, and it might even make a non-legacy variant of Hypno a bit better given the cup or the circumstance. Yeah, I'm not really sure exactly what this will do, but these are great additions to Hypno's moveset. It gives it a lot of diversity, I feel. So yeah, cool to see that. Electro gets Foul Play. I'm not really sure what to say for this one. I mean, I guess cool for all you tackle Trode users. Yeah, cool, it's a new move. I'll take it. I guess Electro kind of needs them. Don't really know if I agree with the whole coverage thing in the post, but whatever, yeah, take it. This next one's interesting, to say the least. Aerodactyl getting Rock Throw. Last time they adjusted its moves, it got like Rock Slide, I believe. So I guess they're just trying to bring that all full circle. I don't quite know if it's going to be relevant in like a PvP sense. Might have some use potentially in raids. I forget what its max CP is though, to be honest. I don't really raid anymore. It could be very useful in PvP. Not 100% sure. Maybe in something dominant with like flying types. Yeah, we'll see where that one goes. Definitely an appreciated move though. These next three I love to see. It's just really cool. So the 3 legendary birds are getting an adjustment, and they're quite honestly probably some of the worst legendaries we have. Their moves just don't really cut it except for Moltres, but it had something holding it back up until now as well. So Articuno's going to get, they all get Ancient Power really. That's not new for any of them. That's kind of a cool coverage move, again for other flying types, specifically amongst themselves too when you look at like Articuno and Moltres, so that's cool. Ice Shard too, that's really awesome. Ice Shard's one of the better fast moves for PvP. That could be really cool. Not quite sure if Articuno is going to all of a sudden get a rise of use, but I'm not really looking at any of these in like a huge analytical sense. I'm just kind of looking at the moves, seeing if they sound nice, and Ice Shard sounds nice on Articuno. So Zapdos. Drill Peck would be its second move next to Ancient Power. That's awesome. It definitely needed some coverage for grass types. I know some of you might think this means it's going to be good for jungle, but I checked it versus Venusaur and it still loses. So, not quite good enough to help it compete in Jungle Cup, unfortunately. Maybe if we could get access to like Thundershock, because then it would be a solid option to deal with Vigoroth the Noctowl, kind of like Eiju, but yeah, still cool to see. Moltres though, so Moltres is getting Wing Attack as a fast move, and that's actually crazy. With Sky Attack, it's like one of the greatest Pokemon in the game for DPS. It's one of the best Mewtwo attackers, and it's not even using, or sorry, best Machamp counters, and it's not even using like a super effective stab move. So I don't quite know the numbers off the top of my head, but as far as I'm aware, it's like top tier flying type attacker now, and we may never see anything that surpasses it. So this is really cool to see actually. I'm really excited for that. I have a lot of shiny high IV Sky Attack Moltres that I'm definitely going to be TMing soon. So Sceptile with Dragon Claw, you know, it sounds really cool just seeing it, but Sceptile already gets like Leaf Blade, Aerial Ace, Earthquake, and Frenzy Plant. Like its moveset's already crazy, and it's I guess kind of hard to get rid of anything it has now. Who knows though, we'll see what this actually leads to. Kind of cool if we ever get a Mega Evolution for it. It's definitely going to be one of its best moves in that case. Smackdown Aggron. Yeah, so Aggron's already one of the best Pokemon in the game, and with Smackdown it just gets even better. No, I'm just kidding. Honestly, this is just going to encourage more people to use it in raids, and you're just going to hate seeing it even more. You know, maybe it's going to be a bit better with Smackdown as opposed to Iron Tail. Not really expecting a whole lot out of this. Maybe this makes it somewhat more relevant in some of the other leagues. We'll see. Definitely a step up from Iron Tail. Claydol gets Mud Slap, so now basically I guess it can be a ground type confusion user or a confusion user. Confusion using confusion user. Yeah, Mud Slap just hits crazy hard, kind of like confusion. They both generate like energy. So yeah, I'm not going to complain. Claydol gets more moves. I have a really good Claydol. We'll see where this goes. Bronzong gets Bulldoze and Psyshock. This just makes Bronzong stock go way up. Right now it has like Heavy Slam and Flash Cannon as its only real viable moves. So having Psyshock is going to be absolutely fantastic for it. Bulldoze is like an alright kind of move. Not really too excited about that, but you know, the extra coverage on steel types is definitely well appreciated. This would have been amazing for Kingdom to have. Yeah, this is really cool. I'm happy with this. Now I want to track down a shiny Bronzor just so I can get up multiple moves on my various Bronzongs that I have right now. Really excited about that Psyshock actually. Electivire getting Ice Punch. That's kind of cool too. It's still not that great for Jungle Cup as far as I can tell. Like Ice Punch doesn't really save it versus Venusaur, for example, but yeah, it's like really good coverage move for it to get. Right now it has like all electric type attacks, so it's like kind of cool, but it's one of those attack heavy mons, so it's already not the greatest thing for Great League, but I'm not going to complain about this nonetheless. Alright, so here we are with the new moves. I'll start from bottom up. So, Skull Bash. I think it's like a 70 energy move. I have to double check, but it's something on the higher end. So the mon that are going to get it are Blastoise, Raichu, Lapras, Snorlax, and Rhyperior. Blastoise might be able to make use of it. It's sort of one of its signature moves from like Gen 1. One of the few Pokemon that I remember actually using it at least. Raichu's not going to benefit from Skull Bash at all. It's just way too frail already, and it's quite a huge energy cost considering the moves it already has. Lapras might benefit from it. Seems like it's going to be really difficult to fit that in Lapras's kit. Like, you definitely can't get rid of Surf or Ice Shard. So I guess for people without a Legacy Ice Beam or Dragon Pulse Lapras, or with like a bunch of extras after Lapras Rete, you might be able to find something kind of cool out of this. Yeah, I'm not really sure what else to say there. Snorlax, I have no idea really how it operates in Great League right now, but this could potentially be something pretty cool for it. Rhyperior, kind of the same with Snorlax. Could be really cool. Snorlax has Body Slam at least though, so it's going to have nice access to a stronger neutral stab move, I guess, with Bulldoze. Rhyperior, I'm not really sure what it's going to do with it, but yeah, out of all of these, I guess Lapras, Snorlax, and Blastoise, I'm most excited to see what happens. And of course, the second move added was Charm. Ton of stuff to get this actually, some that I wasn't really expecting. Raichu, don't really know what it will do with Charm. It's one of those frail mon again, so we'll have to see for that. Clefable getting it's pretty good. I briefly looked into Clefable. Can beat like Metacham, DD, Azu if it doesn't land HP, and a ton of other stuff too. For DD it just spams Charm for the win, I believe. So yeah, it actually might be quite the viable pick, especially with all these dark types running around too. Very excited to see what Clefable does. Wigglytuff, huge news. We're going to go into this one in depth in just a second. It's definitely shook up the Jungle Cup meta quite a bit. Wobbuffet has counter now. Its charge moves suck though, so we'll see what happens with that. Granbull getting it's pretty great. I like Donphan too. Gardevoir is awesome. I think it already gets Confusion, but not going to complain about anything getting it. Delcatty getting it, again, I'm not going to really complain about anything getting Charm. Latias is interesting. Don't quite know where that one's going to go. Togekiss is awesome. I have a few Great League eligible ones actually. So I'm excited to try that out. Finally team away some of the current ones I have. Gallade is also a pretty cool one too. It gets Confusion and now Charm, so that'll help it out with some dark types, I guess. Curious to see where that goes. I don't quite know the exact energy rates of Charm off the top of my head, at least not compared with Confusion, so yeah, I'm interested to see where that one goes. The obvious highlight is Wigglytuff though. It's immediately relevant for our monthly cups. I've prepared a whole section of the video just dealing with Wigglytuff and its impact on the actual meta. So, or the Jungle Cup meta. So, here's what we're going to do. We're going to leave all this general information behind, and then I'm going to bring you over to the new infographic I created. Not going to go into it as detailed as I did in my original video, but I will link that below. Just kind of give you a quick rundown of it and show you exactly where Wigglytuff has changed things in a separate graphic that I have related to this one. So let's jump into that. Yeah, so if you guys watched the previous meta-analysis video that I did, you'll be pretty familiar with this graphic and the general, I guess, feel for it. I just want to give anyone who hasn't seen that video a quick rundown of how I basically do my graphics. So you have major groups. If you look at like the birds and fortress over there, the color of the outline of their shape means that they are one group. So if they are within like a shape and they have an outline, so you see that red with the birds and fortress, that means they're one group for me in the graph. If an arrow hits the kind of outside of that border, it's meant to target the group. If it goes directly inside one of the shapes, it's something a lot more specific. So like you can see the arrow from that electric group going to the red border of the bird and fortress group, that's meant to target all of them. But then if you look within the bird group at fortress, you'll see that the arrow goes straight into fortress, so it's a more specific interaction. Yeah, so I don't quite want to go into too much detail on this graph again. We've got a few main groups. We got the birds and fortress kind of in one group over there, Vigoroth at the top, the grass types in the left corner, you got the bugs in the right corner, and the electrics in the top right corner. You'll see Wigglytuff off to the side. That's because it was kind of really awkward to fit it in the current graph I had already created. And when I was kind of adjusting it, I wanted to keep the integrity of the current graph as much as I could, you know, keep it pretty much the same. Didn't want to change a whole lot. Although Wigglytuff definitely did shake things up quite a bit. So if you look at Wigglytuff, you'll see that he has kind of a star over his ear. So what I tried to represent was anything that does actually beat Wigglytuff will have a black star somewhere near it as well. If it doesn't have a black star, Wigglytuff beats it. And I'll show you the more specific interactions as well in a second, but that's pretty much what I was going with here. So it's more or less the exact same thing as the last time. The only addition is Wigglytuff and Fortress. And then I changed a few little things, like added an arrow from Venusaur to Victory Bell. So, quick feel for it. You have the top of the graph here to support Vigoroth and lose to Vigoroth, and the bottom of the graph beating Vigoroth but losing to those things that kind of support it. So Vigoroth beats the birds beat grass and bugs, grass beats Vig and the electrics, bugs are going to beat Vig as well, and they're going to beat grass. Electrics are going to beat the birds, and they're going to beat most of the bugs. You get the feel. And then there's a ton of like little interactions there that I've tried to show as well. If you want a full overview of this, go check out the last video. I'm going to link it. And I'm also going to link this graphic for you guys as well. But yeah, the inclusion of Wigglytuff has definitely shaken up the meta quite considerably. There's a few things that are going to drop in my eyes and a few things that are going to rise. One of those things, unfortunately, I thought Executor was going to be great, but with Wigglytuff comes a rise to certain counters, and Fortress is going to be one of those counters specifically. With Fortress running around, it's going to be really hard for Executor to find a place, in my opinion, especially when there's things like Venomoth looming around the corner. But most importantly is the Fortress matchup. Fortress is just going to chew through Executor. So Executor will be a little worse. Fortress is going to go way up there. Fortress is absolutely stupendous. You know, it's not just a worse Noctowl sub that loses to Noct. It beats Wigglytuff, and that's huge. And in general, you're going to find that a lot of the things that are increasing in popularity share that same kind of theory behind it, I guess, where they're either going to do amazingly versus Wigglytuff or beat the things that are beating your Wigglytuff. So, another example, Venusaur is definitely going way up there. Heracross and Scyther are probably going to drop a bit. Heracross just gets bodied by a Wigglytuff, and its niche isn't really that worth it anymore, in my opinion. Vespiquen, unfortunately, is going to go down a bit, which is pretty sad because, you know, it's just starting to gain traction, and a lot of my practice videos coming up will be featuring it quite heavily. So rip all my dust, I guess. The Chews are definitely going to go down. The Alolan Rocks are going to go down a bit too. Some things going up though. Lantern's going to go up a little bit. It doesn't have the greatest Wigglytuff matchup, but does manage to win in an even one shield setting. The Magneton and Magnezone are definitely going to go up. Fortress, of course, is going to go up. I already mentioned Venusaur. Beedrill is going to be one of the biggest things going up. I'm seeing a lot of people picking it up now, alongside Fortress. And Venomoth is going to go up there too, just because it deals with so many of these things coming up. And it's still a decent Vigoroth answer as well. So yeah, Wigglytuff has definitely shaken up this meta quite a bit. That's not to say it's like one of the most terrifying things to face in this meta, and it's not king status like Vigoroth, but it's, I guess what it really brought to this meta was sort of a balance. You know, besides Aichu, we had nothing really that could tackle both Vigoroth and Noctowl. And again, with Aichu, you're just really going for its high versus Vigoroth, so it's really great that we do have Wigglytuff, and it's really great that it's brought about this change. I really like it. I've been playtesting with it a lot, so I'm hoping to get videos out on that soon, but I have to burn through my current collection. I think I've decided that I'm actually going to feature it for my first showcase, so disregard anything I say in my next few practice videos. They were obviously recorded much earlier on than this video, so it's going to be the first showcase, 100%. I'm going to work on that slowly. But anyways, I want to jump into the second portion of the graphic I worked out, just so you guys can actually see Wigglytuff's matchups a bit better. Because again, it was just a little weird to fit it in this graphic without just ruining it and having to do it all over again. So yeah. Alright, yeah, here we go. Shout out to my girlfriend for helping me actually figure out how to do this on my iPad, but basically had her help me figure out these arrows. I know it looks kind of messy, but that's kind of what I was going for. I just really wanted to show you the matchups really quickly. In the actual graphic over there, the black star is what's going to represent beating Wigglytuff. I think I went over that, but just a quick reminder. So yeah, Wigglytuff just takes on so much of this meta. It's pretty much the only thing that can beat both Vigoroth and Noctowl. Aichu can tie Vig and beat Noctowl, so it can check Vig, but it can't beat Vig unless it's like an uneven situation. Wigglytuff can do that though. So anything that has that kind of capability of just disrupting the core duo in any meta is obviously going to have a highlight, and it is somewhat going to be a cornerstone of the meta, to say the least. So Wigglytuff, it does that, right? And you can see that there, it's going to beat Vigoroth and Noctowl. It obviously will dismantle Executor. It's going to take on that Heracross and Scyther. It just walls the absolute life out of Vespiquen, beats the Arox and the Chews as well. So it just takes on a huge amount of this meta. It can pretty much beat something from every group. while losing to some things from every group. So really awkward placement for the actual graphic I had made, so I figured this was the best way to cover it. If we're going to look at things that beat it, we have Fortress, Venusaur and Victory Bell, Beedrill and Venomoth, Lantern, Magnezone, and Magneton. And all of that's kind of represented by the arrows over here. It's basically transformed the meta and made a lot of things that were kind of okay or kind of looming on being, I guess, like the only way I can really describe it is overused in the meta. So basically putting them to overuse. Like Beedrill was seeing a lot of play, but Vespiquen was slowly starting to take over. But now, Beedrill is totally overshrouded something like Vespiquen, for example. If I had to kind of rank these counters, just so you can get a feel for their effectiveness, I would say Fortress, Venusaur, and Beedrill are the top tier of Wigglytuff counters. After that, you're probably looking at, I guess, Magneton and Magnezone. Then under those two, you're going to have like Venomoth. And then under Venomoth, you'll have Lantern. Lantern straight up just has like the worst one shield matchup. It wins with like 1 to 2 HP versus Wigglytuff. So it's there, but it's definitely not the greatest. Venomoth loses the 2 shields and has a very close 1 shield win, but it has something else special going for it though. Magneton and Magnezone get a good win. Magneton does much better with Magnet Bomb though, because Flash Cannon's a much higher energy move. So I might actually put Magneton a bit higher than Magnezone. But it ends pretty low, for being honest, just because it's a pretty frail mon and it's still taking a chunk from the charm damage. But Beedrill, Fortress, and Venusaur are hands down the best answers to Wigglytuff, and they just kind of handle it. I'm pretty much expecting to see at least one of each on every single team going forward. But with Venomoth, it has something kind of cool going for it. It still functions as a Vigoroth answer, which is great, but it also beats Venusaur and Beedrill specifically, so that's really cool. It's going to beat 2 of the best Wigglytuff answers, while also being able to, I would consider more of a check to Wigglytuff, but yeah. So it's going to be a solid partner to have with Wigglytuff actually, because it's going to be handling 2 of those threats. Of course, you will have to watch out for Fortress, so be mindful of that, but yeah, that's pretty much how I would rank it. You got Vena, Fort, and B at the top, Mag and Zone right under that, Moth under them, and then Lance at the very bottom. Moth I might actually kind of put up with the Mags, maybe on that same level there. Yeah, it's just like my first impressions. So I'm very excited to see where this meta goes now that Wigglytuff is up front and centered and we have our old switch mechanic back. Very cool stuff. So I guess now I just kind of want to jump into some battles so you can kind of see the old system. Maybe highlight Wigglytuff a bit more as well. Alright, yeah, let's jump into some battles and test out this glorious mechanic. So I'm going to be leading with Vespiquen, still trying to make it work, and Wigglytuff and Magneton in the back. We lead Vespiquen into one of the best cases, and he pulls out the magical new switch option. So I'm getting a love the glitch, but as you can see, I just have to mash that switch button, and he can't gain any advantage from that switch. So I'll bring in my Magneton into the Beedrill. I know I can take an X Scissors, so I'll let it slide. Then I'll just go for my Magnet Bomb over here. Do a ton of damage, and then I'm chipping him down with Thunder Shocks. I choose to farm him up a bit, so I do actually block this because I want to keep Mags a little bit healthy. Then just farm it down. Want to go for a shield here, so I go straight away for a Magnet Bomb on the switch in. Get that shield, and now I'm trying to push to a second one. Luckily I had farmed that Beedrill, so I can get to it. Do a huge chunk to Vigoroth, but now he's going to take me out. So I'll bring back in Vespiquen and he switches out into Megs. I'm on cooldown, but it's alright. I figure because I have Wiggs in the back, I want to chip down this Magneton as much as possible and not switch out yet. So here we are, just chipping it down. Not going to burn my shield. Take that discharge, and Vespiquen manages to survive somehow. So get this X-Scissor off. Then I actually do decide to switch, so I can just knock it down with these charms. Burn my shield. You can see it just chunking away at that Magneton. That switch animation's really annoying. Now he brings in Vig, but it's pretty much dead, and I have a good amount of health left on Wiggs, so I'll tank that Body Slam, and then just melt it down with charms. Wigglytuff really just does some crazy damage. So into the next one, we're going to go ahead and lead Vespiquen, keep Wiggs in the back, but we'll bring Vigoroth this time. I was having a little bit of issues with that Magneton, so brought Vig instead. We lead Vesp into Venusaur again. He switches out. I choose not to just mash the switch button. Switch glitch, quite lovely. But now I can bring in Vigoroth. And just burn down this Magneton. I kind of want to farm it a bit, so I'll burn my shield. But he did get a decent amount of energy on me just now, so... Doesn't matter though, I'm able to knock him down with counters. Of course I'm going to go straight for a Body Slam here. Try to get a shield off whatever comes in. I think by now I have enough for 2. Experiencing some lag. Get that shield, but I can go for a second Body Slam pretty much immediately. Get both shields actually. So I'm going to push for a third one if I can make it. And there we go. Chunk him down. Now he's going to get his Body Slam, but I'm not going to burn my shield here. Let Vig go down. Then I can bring back in Wigglytuff here and just melt down this Vigoroth. Don't have to shield here, so I'll let the Body Slam hit me. Melt down the Vigoroth, and now Venusaur comes in, so you'll get to see just how much damage Wigglytuff can pull out. I'll block the move coming in. I think Frenzy Plant would have killed at this range, so I'll block it. Trying to build to this Ice Beam, and Wigglytuff gets it and just melts, or freezes rather, this Venusaur. Take that guy out. Wigglytuff's got some crazy power. So this time I'm actually not going to bring Wigglytuff, but I'm going to show you some of the options you have to deal with it in this match. So we're bringing Fortress, which is a great option, and Venomoth. I lead Vig into his Venusaur. These battles are still the worst switch mechanic, so here you go. I'm just trying to build some energy up. I do shield this. I had piggybacked his Venusaur, so go for this Body Slam. Then I can almost get to a second one, so I'm going to go ahead and launch that off too. Then I just go for a switch here. Little bit of lag. So he switches out as well. Brings in Executor. I'm kind of stuck in this position. Decide to just go for a Poison Fang to chunk down the Executor a bit. There's a massive amount of damage. Gonna go down, but then I can actually bring in Fortress. Honestly, no need to shield here. Fortress will tank that hit. Wiggs comes in, and this is where Fortress really just shines. It takes very little damage from those charms, and then just takes huge chunks with Heavy Slam. See it just chipping away. I do have to block this Play Rough coming in. I didn't quite want to see the damage. But now I've built up a decent amount of energy, so I can launch off another Heavy Slam into the Venusaur coming back. Chunk its health down quite a bit. I'll switch into Vigoroth. I don't know if I actually managed to switch into that charge move or what happened there, but that was cool to see. And then Fortress will come in and clean up the Venusaur. I really hate this switch mechanic. So this time we'll actually lead Wigglytuff, the same team from the last one. So I get to lead Wig into Vig, which is great. There is actually a way for Vigoroth to win this matchup that I've recently learned, but I will try to cover that in the showcase. So here we are, just melting it down with charms. I have to burn one shield to win this. So I'll burn the first one here, and then I'm just melting him down. I'll let the second one come in. So yeah, you're going to be burning a shield on your part and not getting one off Vig, but then you have a move ready to go for whatever comes in. It's a Wig, so honestly I probably should have play roughed, but it's alright. You can bring in Fort now and just go to town on this Wigglytuff. Force a shield here. He actually chooses not to shield it, so then he brings in his Noctowl here. And I just want to try to burn his shield so that I can bring in Vig later on. Get that shield. Trying to get to a second one as he farms me, but can't get to it. Decide that obviously I'm not going to burn the shield here. Managed to hang on there actually, but now we can bring in Vig. And my plan is just to farm up some energy here and get 2 body slams off. I'll tank the first Sky Attack, and then try to build to double body slam here. There we go, so I go for the first one, trying to get a shield. Get that shield, and now I can get my second one. Still have a shield on my end as well. Just short of knocking at the Noctowl, but the shield will allow me to survive and finish it off with counter damage. So jumping into this last one, we're going to actually keep Wig in the back, so you get to see it kind of as a, I think I use it as a mid. I don't really remember actually, but you'll see Fortress leading into Wig again, and really Wig can't do anything to this Fortress. This is the primary reason why Fortress is going to rise up after all. So I'll get this Heavy Slam off pretty quick. Force that shield. I think he tries to see what would happen if you do shield twice with the Wiggs. So I get this Heavy Slam off. And yeah, he actually shields twice. I do decide to shield myself as well. Block that Ice Beam. And now I just have to get to another Heavy Slam here. And he does switch out, so I'm trying to mash my switch button, but had that glitch where I couldn't do anything. But now I bring in Wiggs to his Vigoroth, and I'm just going to chip it down. Of course I do have to burn at least one shield. Take this second body slam here. He does have a considerable energy lead, so I actually do manage to get this play rough off as he switches out his Vig. Get a play rough off on the Wigglytuff and just knock it out of there. Oh, sorry, I actually feigned it down his Vigoroth and then got the play rough into his Wiggs. So yeah, Wigglytuff just basically annihilated his team there. And now it's Vig versus Noct, so body slam spam basically. Be able to chip down this Noctowl a considerable amount. Get 2 body slams right here. And then basically knock out the Noctowl with counter damage. And there you go. Alright, yeah, that's basically gonna be it. That's everything I wanted to cover for this video. Now I feel like I can finally move on and get back to the practice match uploads. It just didn't feel right not covering any of the stuff that happened, and I really just wanted to give you guys an early look at Wigglytuff. A full showcase is coming. I don't quite know when I'm going to have that out, but I have a ton of practice videos to keep you occupied until I finish that. Still want to do the Alolan Raichu showcase, although I definitely think it's fallen quite a bit, but you know, it's still worth covering, I suppose. Yeah, that's going to be it for me, guys. I hope you really enjoyed this video. If anything sounds off in my next few practice battles, again, they were recorded much earlier than this video, probably about 4 or 5 days, maybe even a week ago. I think I actually finished recording those. So they're going to be a little bit off the time sync with this video. I don't quite know if I'll contradict myself with anything going forward. Yeah, I'm going to leave a link to the graphic up as well, so you guys can have access to that. If you guys liked the video, leave a comment, drop me a like on the video too, and go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Take care for now.